Okay. All right, here we are. Ladies and gentlemen, box to box football. Arsenal 3, Southampton 3 reaction. Um, Insane game of football. Absolutely insane game of football. I will say to start with, obviously I'll wait for some people to drop in and may end up repeating this. But we are without James. Unfortunately, he is unavailable. He's been a little busy this evening. Obviously we want the Arsenal fan reaction as much as humanly possible, but you are gonna have to deal with me for the time being. Yeah, what a game. What a game. Where I kind of want to start with this in terms of a reaction is I mentioned with the Anfield game about how we shouldn't be overreacting to that, right? Liverpool aren't having their best season, but Anfield, Liverpool, right? It's one of these teams where you're kind of like, yeah, it's like arguably the hardest place to play in Europe. So let's not get that twisted. Let's not pretend that even though Liverpool have had a down year, that Anfield is not still an incredibly hard place to go. So I remember saying at the time, pump the brakes. Pump the brakes. If you pre-season, Mikel Arteta, hey, we're going to give you a draw at Anfield. Would you take that? He's going to rip your arm off. He'd be delighted with that. The problem, though, is when you come to a game like this. Now is the time that we can start maybe overreacting a little bit. 3-3 against bottom of the table. And I know a lot of you may well say, well, they're desperate. It's a desperate football team. It's going to be difficult. It's just like playing one of the top six mid-season because they're desperate to remain in this league. I understand the motivation aspect of it, but it's Southampton, bottom of the league, at home. You're trying to win a title. Now's the time where we need to start freaking out. What's up, Sammy? How we doing? Yeah, and Sammy's just made the point here. It's panic. It's panic stations now. Like, yes, I agree. Let's see if I can stick this up. Yeah. It's panic stations now. Yes, I agree. It's time to start panicking if you're Arsenal. Liverpool away, not worried about it. Seriously, good result, generally speaking, all in all, not worried about it. This was not good. And again, some of the pundits after the game talking about how, oh, it'll feel like kind of a point gained because they were 2 goals down. Yeah, you're 2 goals down at home against Southampton. This is not a pleasurable place to find yourself in. I don't think Arsenal can find any positives in this game. Again, if they all want to kind of get together and have some solidarity and all this kind of stuff, fair enough. But, let's also not get this twisted either. There were a couple of break opportunities for Southampton in there where they could have potentially scored four. So again, this is problematic. I've always been of the opinion, since early on in the season, that I do think Arsenal are in a good spot. I do think that Arsenal are still capable of winning the league. Again, a game like this is not where I expected them to drop points. It's just not. It's at home. It's Southampton. Again, Southampton have some nice players. I think Romeo Lavia played really nice football today as well. The centre backs showed a bit of character going forward as well. And I think that'll hold them in good stead, even if they do get relegated. I think Southampton will be in a good position maybe to come straight back up. But this Arsenal team, and this is kind of the point I was hoping I'd have James here to talk to about, there seems to be a little bit of an imposter syndrome, a little bit of a mental weakness in this Arsenal team. And if they don't win the league this year, I'm worried for them going forward. This season has been very emotionally draining for the youngest team in the league. And again, we can talk about how it's that they're a bright spark and they're all this, da da da. In this league, you have to take your opportunities when they come. I've mentioned this to James multiple times. The only other team without a top four wage spend to win the Premier League since its inception in 1992 was Leicester City. And we know how much of a fairy tale and how amazing that was, right? Arsenal would be the only other team who would potentially be doing that. That's amazing. Now, again, Leicester City's wage spend was way bottom half of the table, way off. I think Arsenal's might be like sixth or seventh, right? So it's still within the realms of, oh, maybe they could sneak in. But I don't want that to take away from how amazing of an achievement it would be. Man City will always come. Liverpool, we would imagine in some way, shape, or form, especially with Jurgen Klopp there, will be back. Manchester United seem to be somewhat back. It's been a pretty positive season, generally speaking, for them. Sevilla result from last night aside. Um, Newcastle United are coming. It feels to me like they're kind of ahead of schedule. If Arsenal don't strike while the iron's hot here and win this league this year, or at least in the summer have some sort of development or make some sort of a statement in terms of recruitment, they could get left behind again. That's what I'm worried about. And again, I wish James was here so that I could potentially have that conversation with him. But I don't know what to say. I am of the opinion, cold hard facts, that's what's always going to come at you, right? And the money aspect of football is there for all to see. And also, what have we seen now from some of these Arsenal players? They've built some reputation for themselves, right? There will be certain teams who can pay big wages, who can afford big transfer fees, who are going to be looking at some of these Arsenal players and going, we could potentially do with that person. There'll be certain players. You've got a William Saliba there. You're telling me if PSG potentially come knocking for William Saliba at some point going forward, that's not going to be something that's quite tempting for him? Gabriel, again, a top team like a Real Madrid, a Barcelona, somebody of that nature calling for a centre back like that, you don't think that's going to be slightly tempting for him? You know, there are some guys who I think might be there for life, and I think that Arsenal will pay big contracts for. The likes of a Bukayo Saka, just as an example, I think is a guy who will be there forever. Martin Odegaard really seems to be the heart and soul of this team. They'll keep him there, but you can't pay everybody. You can't pay everybody. So again, I've been ranting for a while, but there does seem to be a little bit of a you have to strike while the iron's hot, because as much as we look at this young team, this team and this starting 11 that's been so good all year is not going to look like this in 2 or 3 years' time. Other clubs are going to come knocking. Contracts are and aren't going to be worked out. It's tricky. And like I say, with the competitors, fierce competitors, by the way, coming for you, that's an issue. Another thing I want to touch on as well, regardless of how long Pep Guardiola has left at Manchester City, when he leaves, let's say for whatever reason, somebody like Vincent Kompany is not the guy. Do you not think it's going to be incredibly tempting for Mikel Arteta to answer the call, be Manchester City manager, have all that he has available to him, go back to the club that made him that coach? I don't know. I'm really, if I was an Arsenal fan right now, I'd be really freaking out and worrying about this striking while the iron's hot thing, because again, and please clip this because I may look like an idiot in the future. This time next year, are Arsenal going to be in a title challenge where for the last 7 games of the season, 6 games of the season, we're thinking maybe they could win it, maybe they could. I'm not so sure. I'll get into some comments now. Yeah, Henri coming to watch, and this is what Arsenal do. I know, kind of like a little bit of a Drake curse thing going on there. Arsenal will get bantered, but ain't no shame in losing to this City team. Yeah, look, Sammy, I'm with you. I'm with you. Again, somebody's got to come second. I know that sounds kind of really dark and a little bit harsh, but somebody does have to come second. I'm still not writing Arsenal off, by the way. I still think this is kind of a coin toss. Anybody who thinks that City have 8 games left, anybody who thinks City are just going to win out here, you're crazy. There's going to be a draw that you won't expect. There's going to be maybe even a loss that you don't expect. I think since Pep's been there, I think there's only been one time where they've won consecutively their last 8 games. So City will drop points, and more importantly, if that's to Arsenal, that's massively in their favour. So this title race is not over. It's not over at all. But tonight, Arsenal have not, have really not helped themselves at all. Again, those are my quick thoughts. I only wanted to keep it a short one and give you some reaction to that insane football match. Credit where credit's due to Southampton. It's a local team for me living down here. So I really don't want to see Southampton get relegated. So I'm quietly kind of happy, but I also don't want the Premier League season to end early with knowing who the champion is, knowing who's going down, or knowing the top four spots. I want that to, excuse me, be as delayed as much as humanly possible. I guess while I have everybody here as well, I want to just talk a little bit about how happy I was with Roma last night as well. That was amazing. I had such fun. Like I actually had such fun as a football fan for the first time in ages. Usually, like I think it's probably about 5 years ago that I had that much fun within the sport of football as a proper fan. Like I was like I was getting mad at Feyenoord players. I was supporting Roma players who were behaving badly because it's my team, right, and all this kind of stuff. So, yeah, credit where credit's due to Roma last night. Where this leaves us, and I guess we'll give a little bit of a preview here as well, maybe for the next 5 minutes or so, for the game on Wednesday. Okay, yeah, it's a big game. Shocker. Lots of people saying chess match and all this kind of stuff. Whilst I think that that is true, I don't think that the breakup of Gabriel and William Saliba, that partnership can be understated. I really don't. Um, Granit Xhaka missing out through to illness. Is he the most like pivotal player to the way Arsenal play and the way they've been? I would say probably not. I mean, has he had a good year? Yeah. Has he had a great year? No, not compared to his teammates. He's been solid. But again, that starting 11 that really felt like it was largely set in stone for a long period of time, that's kind of starting to break up now and become a little bit frayed and a little bit broken. The relationships that you form within that, that's what's going to kind of take you over the edge, right? So again, I'm leaning Man City. I mean, shocker, right? A home game, especially after what we've just seen against Arsenal. But what you can never rule out is that mental side of the game. What's going to happen now in training, right? What's going to happen in the dressing room after full time? How's that going to change this Arsenal team? Maybe that draw has actually, in a weird way, come at a good time. Maybe Arsenal can go to the Etihad and maybe they can take all 3 points. I don't know. Another thing I'll say, Pep Guardiola in big games. More often than not, Pep Guardiola is managing the better team. It's one of my criticisms actually of Pep Guardiola, and it's why for me I'm never going to fully buy in as he's this best ever coach. Right? I know a lot of people already have this opinion that he might be the best manager ever. I'm not there, and I'm not ready to say that yet. I want to see Pep do more with less. Right? Pep is always capable of doing more with more. When he has a fantastic clay in terms of a squad that he can spend a lot of money on, and he has high quality players, Pep can do incredible things. I want to know if Pep is capable of doing more with less, basically. We've seen Jose Mourinho do it multiple times. That's always the comparison, right? We've always seen Jose Mourinho with a team that have no right to be near a title or a Champions League or whatever. We've seen him be able to make something, right? I'm not saying it's the biggest achievement in the world, but Roma in a Europa League final, amazing. Won the Conference League last year. Again, I'm not trying to say that that's the most amazing thing in the world, but we've seen it possible. Pep can only really do more with more. But one thing I will say about him in big games, sometimes he has the tendency to overthink things. Who knows Pep Guardiola, to a certain extent, better than anybody? Mikel Arteta is a prime candidate. If I was asking that question and you were to give me that answer, I would say, yeah, no, fair enough. I understand that, right? He was kind of his right hand man largely and coaching under him for a long time. There's going to be a lot of the philosophy aspect there as well. What we would also say, who knows Mikel Arteta probably better than anybody else? Well, you're probably going to say Pep Guardiola as well. Will there be some double bluff things going on? Is Pep going to use a formation that he knows might really benefit and do very well against Mikel Arteta and against Arsenal? Will Mikel Arteta know that Pep's going to do that and have something to counteract what Pep's going to do? Right? These are the kind of mind games that we start to get to when there is familiarity with coaches. To a certain extent, what you want is two coaches and two teams who don't know each other, and then you just go and you just see what happens, see what game you can create, see what entertainment you can have. There is a way, though, to say that it's potentially, especially on a human level, it's significantly more interesting to see two guys who know largely each other's methods inside and out, and then watching them go toe to toe. Another interesting thing, and another thing, again, I just think of, I'm just ranting. I've been talking for 15 minutes, so somebody better stop me, right? If you think a guy that you're coaching with is going to become a manager, potentially at the top level, and in the same era that you're going to be managing, do you give away all your secrets? And do you give away everything? I don't know. Again, I'm just thinking about it from the human being aspect of it. Is Pep Guardiola, when Mikel Arteta was at Manchester City, does Pep Guardiola see him there and go, "Matt, this guy's going to be a manager. This guy's going to be a manager, and he's probably going to be a manager, maybe in the Premier League, maybe in La Liga. I mean, maybe he will go to Germany, Italy, France, but maybe Spain, maybe England. I think this guy's going to be a manager." Man, I actually think he's talented. I think he's a good coach. I think he's smart. I think he understands football, and he's got some really good leadership capabilities. You know what? I'm not gonna give him everything because I need something in the bank to pull out at some point if I need it. Now, again, you guys might think that I'm overthinking that, but I knew that if I was coaching and teaching and in a team with somebody who I thought potentially going forward might be a rival of mine, I wouldn't show my entire hand, right? I would kind of hold back a little bit. I'd do as much as I can just to keep things ticking over, but I would probably keep one or two cards just to myself, just so that when the time comes, I can pull them out. Is Pep Guardiola potentially going to do something like that that's going to be able to kind of turn over what Mikel Arteta wants to do? Just a thought to consider. Just a thought to consider. Okay, we've got another couple of comments. Sammy again. Pep level won't fall to the level of Roma or Spurs, so won't see it for a while, if ever. Hey, look, yeah, that's fine. I'm okay with that. I don't take that as disrespect. I'm just saying I respect somebody who can kind of do it at all levels, in all seasons, in all teams. That is that kind of level of dexterity. I think is what I would give. I would personally give a little bit more credit to. Um, Okay, let's break down, I guess, a little bit more of the game itself and how the teams are going to interact. It is at Manchester City, but a lot of the principles of play are going to be quite similar for both teams. So I don't know if we're going to see a Man City completely dominating, performance from the get go. I do think there will be times in the game, especially because of how emotional the game is as well, where Arsenal will have the ball and will have a chance to play. The worry then is without somebody like William Saliba, with how gassed out the Arsenal team are there, if Arsenal do have the ball and do have high levels of territory, are we going to see what I've wanted to see all season, which is Erling Haaland just unleashed? We've seen what he's been able to do, right, against teams where they dominate the ball. He's in the box. De Bruyne puts it on his forehead basically, and all he has to do is head it in, or all he has to do is side foot it in the 6 yard box. If there are spells of the game where Arsenal have the ball and are dominating the ball, but not just dominating possession, dominating territory, there's more room for Erling Haaland to deal with things. Now, again, I think Gabriel matches up reasonably well with Erling Haaland, right? We would have said that about De Ligt. We would have said that about Dayot Upamecano, right? We would have maybe said that about somebody like maybe Benjamin Pavard as well. Gabriel's in that kind of mold. He is a very athletic, young, can be physical, very, very fast centre back. He might be able to do a number against Erling Haaland. But, the likes of Rob Holding, there's one winner there. And in terms of top end speed, when Haaland gets going, he can move. He can move. So I worry about Erling Haaland on the break. there are players capable of playing that deeper pass from deep on the break, like obviously Kevin De Bruyne goes without saying, but Ilkay Gundogan, I think Rodri's capable of it too, and then the wide players too. Even some of the wing backs are capable of playing that, that ball from out wide that kind of cuts across where Erling Haaland can go straight into it, intercept, and then yeah, I don't know. I'm worried for Arsenal. I'm not gonna lie. Um, One thing I will say though is again, it's really I kind of want to double down on the point of familiarity. That's the main thing. Um, Gabriel Jesus, Zinchenko, you know, people are going to be there's going to be a lot of information sharing. Not even just over the next couple of days, and over the last week, you'd imagine as well. There's going to be lots of information sharing going on, as for sure. Mikel Arteta, Jesus Zinchenko, there's a lot of knowledge going there. Pep with his guys as well. I don't know. It's tough for me to get so much of a tactical breakdown because I have no idea, guys. I have no idea what Pep's going to do, and I have no idea what Arteta's going to do. I mean, we assume it's going to be the same thing, and I think realistically, Arteta will probably fall back on the fact that he thinks we're fired up. We're going to go out and win this game. We're going to outperform them over anything else. And maybe that is what he'll go for. But I can never trust Pep. A couple more comments from Sammy, keeping us going here. Sir Alex, still my number one. Hey, look, I understand your point. European champion with multiple teams, longevity, dominance. There's a lot to like about Sir Alex Ferguson in that debate, but I don't know if he's the clear cut number one. I think there might be some better managers all time. There might be some better managers there as well. Again, legacy is obviously huge, but in terms of like a style of play as well, did he have his own kind of style of play, which is attempted to be replicated? Has he got tactical legacy within football? I think is important from managers. And again, we can talk about like maybe a counter attacking. What do they call it? Buccaneering, I think is that swashbuckling? They use some pirate phrase for that for those Manchester United teams. From back in the day with counter-attack, late goals and emotion and blah, blah, blah. But again, was that a tactical setup from him? I'm not sure. And then final one, Etihad is a scary place, man. These guys don't lose or die EPL games. I don't know what that means. But yeah, scary. Man City, again, you've got to say it's up to them now. But like I said, guys, Man City aren't going to win 8 games straight. I'd just be amazed. I would just be amazed. And if any of those points, are dropped, then I don't know. Right, final one from Sammy. Do you rate Carlo? He doesn't have a philosophy either. Well, okay, first of all, I think we should both correct ourselves here a little bit. Sir Alex Ferguson has a philosophy. Carlo Ancelotti has a philosophy, right? But I guess what I'm saying is there were no nuances and major changes, I would say, that have been brought in where you go, oh yeah, that's like a Carlo Ancelotti thing, or that's a Sir Alex Ferguson thing. I would say in terms of a tactical approach to games, which teams are currently replicating. Right, that would be my only thing. And yes, of course, I absolutely love Carlo Ancelotti. Of course, I do. Guy's amazing. Guys, I'm going to end the stream here. Just wanted to give a quick reaction to that insane football match. Again, that's exactly what the Premier League is all about. It's exactly what we want from an entertaining game of football as well. Again, shame for Arsenal, but the game was as good as it was because of that Ramsdale mistake after 30 seconds. And Southampton, to their credit, played very, very well. Very, very entertaining game. Frederick Dahl, Arsenal can still do it. Hey, man, I'm with you. I've been trying to say, I think that we do have 8 games left. Man City are not going to win all 8 of those games. There's going to be a shock loss or a shock draw. And it might just be 1 draw, 1 loss, or it might be 2 draws, 6 wins, right? But I'm just saying, I do not believe personally that Man City win out here. And especially if any of those points are potentially dropped against Arsenal, right? Then it goes straight back into their favour. Again, Arsenal have 6 games left, some tricky ones in there as well. Do I expect them to win out now? No, I don't either. I think we're going to have many more potential conversations and reactions like this. I hope that we get it until the 37th, 38th game week. I would hate for this to be wrapped up early. I want Arsenal to come back, make it a competitive game at Man City. At least get a draw. At least get a draw. A win would be great, but at least get a draw, and then we'll just see how these things shake out. It is 20 past 11. I'm about to end stream. I'm really, really sorry for those who have just recently joined. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. Drop a like on the video as well. I'd really appreciate it. And obviously, please feel free to go back to the beginning of the stream and watch the full reaction. I am sorry, it's just me. I do apologize about that. James is a little bit busy at the moment. Again, we'll see what happens in this title race. And thanks for joining me.